Respect is not inherited. Power is not gifted. Both are taken, and taken by force of mind, not by begging, not by waiting, not by chance. Look around you. The majority of men are asleep. Their lives are dictated by approval, by acceptance, by the empty applause of people who don't matter. They live for permission, for validation, for scraps of recognition. That is weakness, and weakness is a scent. It leaks from their posture, their tone, their hesitation. Predators smell it. They circle, they strike, they consume. But you are not here to be consumed. You are here to become the one who hunts, the one whose silence weighs heavier than another man's screams. You are here to command presence, not ask for it, to master the room without a word, to bend the air in your favor. Understand this: to pursue love, admiration, or sympathy is to shackle yourself. Those who seek to be liked are controlled by the whims of others, but those who cultivate respect through fear, through mystery, through strength of will, become untouchable. They become forces that cannot be ignored, only obeyed. Machiavelli wrote that it is safer to be feared than loved. He wasn't telling you to become cruel. He was telling you to become inevitable. Predictable men are pawns, but a man who cannot be read, a man whose hand hovers between mercy and destruction, is the man people revere, because they know at any moment you can end them. This is the mindset of power, cold, stoic, precise. You must learn to hold your emotions behind iron walls, to measure your words like blades, and to move only when the strike is guaranteed. This is how men are forged into rulers of perception. If you are ready to take that step into shadowed strength, if you are ready to begin shaping fear into respect and respect into power, then comment this phrase right now: I do not chase, I command. Write it, claim it, because from this moment forward, you are stepping into a different reality. Asterisk number 1, the psychology of respect. Respect is not a gift. It is a weapon, and like any weapon, it must be forged, sharpened, and wielded with calculation. Understand this: most people are living under a dangerous illusion. They believe respect comes from being liked, from being agreeable, from constantly nodding their head in submission. They think if they smile enough, if they please enough, if they bend enough, they will be respected. But the more they bend, the more invisible they become. The more they explain themselves, the more they invite doubt. The more they chase approval, the more they destroy the very thing they're trying to earn. True respect is not about affection. It is not about popularity. It is not about being seen as nice. Respect is rooted in psychology, in the primal evaluation that every human being makes when they stand in front of you. If I cross this man, what does it cost me? If I push him, what does he unleash? Respect is not built in smiles. It's built in hesitation. It's in the weight of the silence you carry. And here's what most will never admit: human beings don't respect comfort. They respect consequence. They respect boundaries. They respect the pressure of knowing they cannot play games with you. They respect the reality that with one decision, you can either elevate them or end them. This is why Machiavelli wrote that rulers must master perception. It is not enough to have power. You must be seen as dangerous. The lion without teeth is mocked. The man without mystery is predictable. And the predictable are controlled. But the man who keeps his cards hidden, who cloaks his intentions, who creates an air of uncertainty, that man is respected, because no one knows where his limit lies. Respect thrives in unpredictability. It grows in silence. It intensifies when you deny the world constant access to your thoughts, your emotions, your plans. When people cannot read you, they cannot use you. When they cannot predict you, they cannot defeat you. That is how you become untouchable. So remember this: your goal is not to be liked. It is to be felt. To command a presence so heavy, others adjust themselves before you ever speak. That is true respect. Number 2, fear over love. Love is fragile. It bends easily, and when pressure is applied, it breaks. People will claim to love you, but their love is conditional. It exists only as long as you feed their needs. The moment you stop giving, the moment you fail to meet their expectations, their love evaporates. They abandon you, they turn, they betray. Love is a luxury, but it is not a foundation for power. This is the uncomfortable truth most men refuse to accept. Love is transactional. They love you for the comfort you bring, for the resources you provide, for the feelings you give them. Remove any of those, and their love collapses. This is why leaders who seek to be loved are weak. They depend on approval, on applause, on the unstable emotions of the crowd. And when the crowd turns, so does their kingdom. Fear, however, is different. Fear is durable. Fear does not rely on generosity. Fear is etched into the nervous system. It bypasses logic and sinks into instinct. When a man fears you, he pauses, he calculates, he weighs the risk. That pause, that hesitation, is where your power lives, because fear makes betrayal costly. Fear makes disobedience dangerous. Fear locks loyalty in place long after love has disappeared. Machiavelli saw this centuries ago, and his clarity still cuts today. He wrote that while it is ideal to be both loved and feared, if you must choose one, choose fear. Why? Because love is fickle, but fear is constant. Fear binds tighter than affection, for affection is fragile, but self-preservation is eternal. A man will risk disappointing someone he loves, but he will not risk the wrath of someone he fears. Now, understand this. To embrace fear does not mean to become cruel. Cruelty is sloppy. Violence is a blunt instrument. True psychological power is not in chaos, it is in controlled consequence. To cultivate fear is not to lash out wildly, it is to carry yourself with the weight of potential, the awareness that if someone crosses you, you can and will make them pay. Fear is not about shouting, nor is it about flexing. It is about silence, presence, stillness. The most dangerous men are calm, unreadable, impossible to provoke. They do not need to announce themselves because everyone feels them. Their unpredictability creates unease. Their restraint creates tension. That is power psychology at its finest, when others respect you not because they love you, but because their survival depends on it. Love makes men comfortable. Fear keeps them disciplined. Love invites exploitation. Fear commands distance. And when you master both, you achieve balance. But if forced to choose, always lean on fear. Because fear ensures survival. Fear ensures respect. Fear ensures that when your name is spoken, it is not with mockery, but with weight. If you understand this truth, write it now in the comments. Better feared than forgotten. Claim it. Make it yours. Number 3. The mask of control. Power is not only measured by the strength of your hand, but by the discipline of your mask. Understand this. Men destroy themselves by revealing too much. They speak endlessly. They vent their emotions. They showcase their intentions. And in doing so, they give their enemies the blueprint to dismantle them. A predictable man is already conquered because his enemies no longer need to wonder. They only need to wait. Machiavelli's brilliance lies in his ruthless understanding of human nature. He observed that most men are not strong. They are reckless. They cannot control their impulses. They talk too much. They reveal their plans before they act. They wear their hearts openly, hoping the world will respect their honesty. But honesty is not power. Honesty is exposure, and exposure is weakness. The wise man understands that control begins with concealment. Your emotions are weapons. Never hand them to someone else. Your ambitions are strategies. Never display them before they are complete. Your silence is not emptiness. It is precision. The mask you wear is not deception. It is defense. Think of perception as a battlefield. Every word you speak, every emotion you show, every intention you reveal, these are movements of your army. If you show your positioning too soon, the enemy adjusts. If you reveal your strategy, they prepare countermeasures. But if you remain unreadable, hidden behind a mask of calm, No one knows where to strike. No one knows when to defend. And so, they hesitate. That hesitation is where your power lives. Mystery is one of the oldest forms of authority. People fear what they cannot understand. They respect what they cannot predict. They become cautious around what they cannot define. The more they guess about you, the more control you have, because every illusion they build is a cage they walk into voluntarily. This is why rulers, generals, and conquerors throughout history never allowed their true selves to be seen. Alexander appeared godlike. Caesar appeared untouchable. Napoleon concealed his exhaustion behind steel composure. Machiavelli advised princes to appear merciful, loyal, humane, but to be ready to act with cruelty, treachery, and ruthlessness when necessary. Appearances create trust, hidden intentions create power, and when the two collide, domination is inevitable. Understand this clearly. Your mask is not a lie. It is strategy. The world does not deserve your truth. It deserves only the parts you choose to show. To speak less is to control more. To reveal little is to possess much. Every word withheld, every emotion locked away, every plan concealed. These are bricks in the fortress of your authority. Consider the alternative. The man who wears no mask. He shares his emotions freely. He explains his intentions openly. He tells others his next move before he makes it. He craves validation, so he exposes his mind in exchange for approval. But this man is naked. His enemies dissect him, manipulate him, mock him. His transparency becomes his leash. He is not respected. He is exploited. You must not be this man. You must become the opposite, the unreadable one. The man whose silence unsettles. The man whose calm is interpreted as depth, whose restraint is mistaken for infinite patience. Your mask should be so well crafted that others never know where you stand, never know what you feel, never know when you might act. That doubt becomes your weapon. That mystery becomes your crown. Let me tell you this. Silence is not weakness. It is pressure. When others expect an answer and you give none, they begin to doubt themselves. They question their words. They rethink their actions. In your silence, they project their fears. They wonder, what is he thinking? What is he planning? What will he do? This unease makes them cautious, careful, submissive. That is control. The mask also allows you to strike with devastating effect, because when you hide your intentions, no one sees the blow coming. They mistake your calm for passivity. They mistake your composure for weakness. And when you finally decide to act, it is decisive, sudden, and absolute. That shock is what breaks resistance. That unpredictability is what cements your dominance. Even in the modern world, where deception is condemned and authenticity is glorified, the mask remains the most lethal tool of influence. People claim they want truth, but in reality, they crave illusion. They want to believe in strength, in mystery, in something larger than themselves. If you expose yourself entirely, they lose interest. If you remain cloaked, they lean in closer. They try harder to understand you. They invest in decoding you, and in that pursuit, you control them. A man who hides nothing is a man who owns nothing. A man who conceals everything controls everything. That is the paradox of power. The less you show, the more they see. The less you speak, the more they hear. The less they know, the more they believe. Your task is simple. Learn to wear the mask without ever removing it. Let your face show only what you choose. Let your tone betray nothing. Let your movements remain deliberate, your words scarce, your intentions invisible. Train yourself to hold your emotions behind an iron gate and release them only when they serve you. Reveal your plans only when they are irreversible, and never, ever allow anyone to believe they fully know you, because the man who is fully known is already owned. If you want to be respected, become unpredictable. If you want to be untouchable, become unreadable. If you want to be remembered, never let them see the man behind the mask. They will fear you, respect you, and follow you, because they will never be certain if what they see is the truth or if the truth is something far darker. Write this in the comments right now if you understand. My mask is my weapon. My silence is my shield. This is not just a phrase, it is a law of power, a law of survival, a law of dominance. And from this point forward, you do not move without your mask. You do not speak without purpose. You do not reveal without calculation. You become untouchable because they will never know which version of you is real and which one is simply waiting to strike. Number 4, the weight of boundaries. Power is not only built on the actions you take, it is built on the lines you refuse to cross, and more importantly, the lines you refuse to let others cross. Boundaries are the invisible walls that protect your throne. Without them, you are not a ruler. You are a slave dressed as a king. Weak men fail here. They allow others to step into their space without consequence. They allow their time to be wasted, their energy drained, their respect chipped away piece by piece. They tolerate disrespect because they are afraid of conflict. They make excuses for those who exploit them. They give chance after chance to people who should have been cut off the first time. And in doing so, they destroy the very authority they hope to project. Understand this. Respect cannot exist without boundaries. It is impossible. People respect only what resists them. They respect what pushes back. They respect what is firm, immovable, unyielding. A man who accepts everything, who bends to everyone, who lowers his standards for peace, he earns no respect. He earns contempt. He becomes a tool to be used, not a figure to be feared. Machiavelli knew this. He wrote that men are quick to test you, quick to push, quick to probe for weakness, and if they sense you are soft, if they sense that your words mean little, they will consume you without hesitation. That is the nature of human beings. They take as much as you allow, and if you allow everything, you will be left with nothing. But when you draw hard lines, when you stand cold and firm, when your no is immovable, people learn, they retreat, they begin to measure their words, their actions, their behavior in your presence. They begin to sense the weight of consequence. And it is in that weight that true respect is born. Boundaries are not about anger. They are not about emotional outbursts. They are not about shouting or aggression. Those things expose weakness because they reveal you have been provoked. Boundaries are about composure. They are about silent, decisive enforcement. When your line is crossed, you act calmly, surgically, without hesitation. And you never explain yourself. You do not justify your boundary, you simply enforce it. A law does not explain itself. It exists. It is obeyed. The psychology here is simple. People only value what costs them something. If your respect is free, no one treasures it. If your time is freely wasted, no one values it. If your presence is available to everyone, no one craves it. Scarcity creates weight. Enforcement creates value. Every time you let something slide, you lower your throne. Every time you enforce a boundary, you raise it higher. The world learns how to treat you by what you allow. If you accept disrespect, you will drown in it. If you demand respect through unbreakable standards, the world will kneel, even if in silence, even if in resentment. Because deep down, they know your line is immovable. Your boundaries must extend to every domain of your life. Guard your time like a blade. Do not let trivial people drain hours from you. Guard your energy like a fortress. Do not spend it on those who deplete you. Guard your respect like a crown. Do not hand it to those who have not earned it. Guard your presence like a weapon. Do not allow everyone access, because access is privilege, and privilege must be earned. Men without boundaries are consumed until there is nothing left. Men with boundaries radiate authority. Their very posture communicates, I will not be used. I will not be disrespected. I will not bend for your comfort. This is the silent language of power. You don't need to announce it. People feel it. When you hold your ground, you are not only training others, you are training yourself. Every time you enforce a boundary, you strengthen your discipline. You confirm your identity as someone who will not be shaken. And with each act of resistance, you fortify your throne brick by brick. Never forget, a throne without walls is a throne built on sand. It collapses under pressure. But a throne fortified by iron boundaries stands through storms, through wars, through betrayal. It cannot be toppled. So build your throne. Build it with unbreakable lines. Build it with cold resolve. Build it so high and so strong that the world knows the cost of testing you. That cost, psychological, emotional, or material, is what makes others respect you. Without it, they will consume you. With it, they will bow. Comment this phrase if you understand. My boundaries build my throne. Claim it, because without boundaries, you are nothing. With them, you are untouchable. Number 5. The art of controlled cruelty. Mercy is admired. Cruelty is feared. And sometimes, to secure your throne, fear must come first. Machiavelli wrote that cruelty, if used, must be swift, decisive, and unforgettable. This is the principle of controlled cruelty. Not random violence, not emotional outbursts, but calculated action that sends a message. When you punish once, you punish hard, and you leave no doubt in the minds of others that crossing you has a price. Most men fail here. They are either too soft, tolerating insult after insult, slowly being stripped of authority, or they are too wild, lashing out emotionally and losing control. Both extremes are weakness. True power lives in the middle, the ability to remain calm until the moment comes and then to strike with absolute precision. Controlled cruelty is psychological. It does not always require destruction. Sometimes it is silence. Sometimes it is withdrawal. Sometimes it is cutting someone off without explanation, letting them choke on the emptiness you leave behind. Other times, it is decisive action, ending an alliance, exposing a betrayal, delivering a punishment that echoes far beyond the moment itself. The purpose is not revenge. Revenge is personal. Controlled cruelty is strategic. It is not about satisfying your emotions. It is about shaping perception. It tells the world, this man is not to be tested. This man enforces consequence. And once that reputation is established, people regulate themselves around you. They hesitate before disrespect. They fear the shadow of your response. Do not confuse cruelty with recklessness. Do not strike without cause. Do not punish without reason. But when the line is crossed, when the boundary has been violated, your response must be overwhelming. It must make others remember. It must echo long enough to prevent the same mistake from being repeated. This is the art, never cruel for the sake of cruelty, but always willing to unleash it when necessary. Cold, calculated, without apology. That is how power is preserved. That is how authority is enforced. Comment this phrase if you understand. My cruelty is controlled. My power is final. Number 6. The currency of scarcity. What is abundant is ignored. What is scarce is worshipped. Most men destroy their own value by making themselves too available. They speak too much. They explain too much. They show up for everyone. They give away their time, their energy, their presence, until those things become worthless. People do not value what they can always have. They value what they fear losing. Scarcity is a weapon. Your silence, your absence, your limited access. These things create tension. They force others to chase, to adjust, to crave. The less they see of you, the more they think of you. The less they hear from you, the more they imagine your thoughts. Mystery is built in the shadows, not in constant exposure. Machiavelli understood that rulers must never allow themselves to be too familiar. Familiarity breeds contempt. If you are always there, always accessible, always easy to reach, you will be seen as ordinary. But if you withdraw, if you ration your presence, if you make others wait for your attention, you become valuable. You become rare. Psychologically, scarcity works like hunger. The more it is denied, the more it grows. By holding yourself back, you create desire. By limiting your access, you amplify your power. This is why kings do not walk freely among the people every day. This is why powerful men do not respond instantly to every request. Their absence becomes presence. Their scarcity becomes weight. Control your presence. Guard your attention. Limit your words. Do not waste them on everyone. When you appear, let it matter. When you speak, let it cut. When you act, let it echo. That is how you turn yourself from ordinary into untouchable. Number 7. The calculated use of fear and favor. Power is never maintained by one weapon alone. To lean entirely on fear is to invite rebellion. To lean entirely on favor is to invite exploitation. The master of power learns to wield both, fear and favor, consequence and reward, punishment and generosity. This is not contradiction, it is equilibrium. Machiavelli warned rulers of two dangers: becoming so cruel that their subjects longed for escape, or becoming so lenient that their subjects grew bold in disrespect. Both extremes destroy authority, but the man who learns balance, who dispenses fear and favor with precision, holds the throne without contest. Think about it. A ruler who governs only by fear turns his court into a prison. Yes, his subjects obey, but their obedience is poisoned with resentment. They comply only until they find a chance to rise against him. A ruler who governs only by favor, on the other hand, creates a court of parasites. They flock to him for handouts, for gifts, for endless generosity. But the moment he withholds, the moment he cannot provide, their love turns to anger. Both rulers fall. The art lies in calculation. When loyalty is shown, it must be rewarded, but measured. Too much generosity breeds dependence, and dependence breeds entitlement. When people grow accustomed to endless rewards, they stop valuing them. The gift becomes expected, and when expectation is not met, resentment takes root. The wise man gives just enough. He ensures that every act of favor is felt as rare, valuable, almost sacred. He ensures that people leave wanting more, never feeling full, never growing complacent. When betrayal or disrespect occurs, punishment must be immediate, swift, absolute, not repeated endlessly, not drawn out into chaos. One decisive act burns deeper into memory than 100 small slights. A single ruthless strike echoes in the minds of many, teaching them the cost of disobedience. Machiavelli himself warned that cruelty repeated becomes instability, but cruelty applied once at the right time can bring lasting order. This is the psychological law of consequence. Men learn not from words, but from the sharpness of experience. They learn when the price of betrayal outweighs its benefits. They learn when fear grips tighter than desire. And if you, as a master of power, enforce this truth with precision, they will discipline themselves in your presence. You will not need to command obedience. It will rise naturally from the tension you create. But remember this: fear and favor are not only political tools, they are currencies of daily life. You are dealing in them constantly, whether you realize it or not. Your approval is a reward. Your silence is a punishment. Your presence is a favor. Your absence is a fear. The key is to stop distributing these things recklessly, to begin using them with intent. For example, when someone earns your loyalty, give them recognition, but in doses. Let them feel that your favor must be preserved. Let them sense its scarcity, so they guard it like treasure. When someone disrespects you, do not argue. Do not explain. Act. Withdraw. Cut them off. Deliver a consequence that is undeniable. That absence of your favor becomes more painful than any insult you could speak. This is the discipline weak men lack. They give without thought. They forgive without cost. They tolerate without consequence. And in doing so, they train the world to take them lightly. Their fear holds no weight. Their favor holds no value. They bleed out both currencies until nothing remains. You must become the opposite: cold, calculated, strategic. Every gesture you make must be understood as intentional. Every act of kindness must be remembered as privilege. Every act of punishment must be remembered as law. Over time, this balance will shape your reputation. People will know He rewards, but only with reason. He punishes, but only with purpose. And both are unforgettable. This is how you become respected and feared, desired and avoided, trusted and untouchable. Machiavelli wrote that it is best to be both feared and loved, but if you must choose, choose fear. Yet the true master never has to choose. The true master creates both. His favor feels rare, valuable, worth fighting for. His fear feels heavy, paralyzing, unforgettable. Together they bind loyalty tighter than chains. In your own life, this must become your framework. Stop giving freely, stop tolerating endlessly. Begin to calculate. Ask yourself, if I reward here, does it strengthen loyalty or weaken it? If I punish here, does it build respect or destroy stability? This discipline transforms you from reactive to strategic, from ordinary to untouchable. Think of fear and favor as a scale. When someone leans too heavily on your generosity, tilt the scale with consequence. When someone hesitates under your shadow, tilt the scale with measured favor. Keep it balanced, and your authority will never crumble. Let it slip too far to either side, and your throne will crack beneath you. Controlled generosity and controlled cruelty. These are the twin pillars of power. Without them, you are just another man, begging for respect that will never come. With them, you are a master, shaping the minds of others without lifting your voice. Comment this phrase if you understand. I deal in fear and favor. Because this is the law of rulers, the principle of kings, the foundation of all who are untouchable. Number 9. The fortress of emotional control. Power begins not with what you control outside of you, but with what you command within. A man who cannot master his own mind is nothing but a puppet, pulled by strings he cannot see, manipulated by forces he cannot resist. The strongest fortress is not made of stone, nor steel, nor walls. It is made within, and a man who cannot control his emotions is already conquered. Look carefully at the world around you. Most men are slaves to impulse. They are triggered by the smallest insult. They are manipulated by empty flattery. They are paralyzed by fear. They are blinded by lust. They are carried by every emotional wave like driftwood on the sea, with no anchor, no control, no discipline. And because of this, they are predictable. Predictability is weakness, and weakness is a signal. It tells the world, you can control me. Machiavelli saw this truth. He understood that the ruler who cannot master himself cannot master his kingdom. The man who flies into rage exposes himself to manipulation. The man who collapses under fear reveals his limits. The man who is seduced by pleasure shows where he can be bought. Those who are ruled by their own emotions will always be ruled by those who know how to exploit them. To be untouchable, you must build your fortress inside. You must become the calmest man in the room, the one whose face betrays nothing, the one whose voice never cracks under pressure, the one whose pulse stays steady while others drown in panic, the man others cannot provoke, the man others cannot read, the man whose restraint unsettles even the most reckless enemy. Understand this: emotional control is not suppression. Suppression is weakness disguised. Emotional control is weaponization. You still feel anger, but you do not lash out. You channel it into decisive, measured consequence. You still feel desire, but you discipline it, directing it only toward what serves your rise. You still feel fear, but you convert it into vigilance and strategy. You do not deny what you feel. You dominate it, bend it, use it. The man who pretends to feel nothing is a liar. The man who pretends he has no emotions is fragile because his mask will crack under pressure. But the man who chooses when to reveal, when to strike, when to unleash, that man is dangerous. He does not bleed emotion recklessly into the world. He keeps it locked like soldiers waiting behind iron gates, released only when victory is assured. This is the essence of Machiavellian stoicism. Control does not mean cold emptiness. It means command. It means power. Think of how psychological warfare works. Nothing unsettles people more than a man they cannot provoke. When someone insults you, they expect a reaction. When you give them none, they are thrown off balance. They speak louder, trying harder to draw emotion from you. Your silence becomes their torment. Your calm becomes their frustration. And when they break themselves against your composure, you win without moving a finger. Or consider betrayal. Most men respond with rage, screaming, plotting, emotional explosions. But the Machiavellian man responds with silence, calculation, and timing. His response comes later, sharper, more devastating, because it is not born from impulse. It is born from strategy. And when it arrives, it is not forgotten or takes success. Ordinary men become arrogant, reckless, loud. They reveal too much. They waste their momentum. But the man of control remains calm, even in triumph. He celebrates nothing publicly. He shows nothing. His enemies cannot read his next move, and his allies know he will not grow complacent. Success does not blind him, it sharpens him. Failure, too, is a test. Most collapse. They pity themselves. They broadcast their weakness. But the Machiavellian man is unmoved. He learns quietly. He adjusts. He adapts. And while others drown in despair, he prepares his return. His emotional fortress absorbs the blow without cracking. This control gives you two weapons. The first is denial of leverage. Enemies cannot provoke you because nothing they do pulls a reaction. They cannot seduce you because your desires are disciplined. They cannot threaten you because fear has no hold over you. You become immune to manipulation. The second is clarity. When others are blinded by anger, you see the path. When others are drunk on victory, you plan the next war. When others are paralyzed by fear, you move decisively. This clarity is the edge. It allows you to strike when others stumble, to advance while others freeze. You must imagine yourself as an iron fortress, walls unbroken, gates unshaken. Nothing enters that is not permitted. No insult pierces. No temptation slips through. No fear shakes the foundation. Behind those walls, you are free to think, free to plan, free to act with cold calculation. The fortress is not silence, it is strength. It is the ground on which all true power is built. Weak men build kingdoms outside of themselves and crumble when storms hit. Strong men build fortresses inside themselves, and even when everything falls, they remain. This is why emotional control is the ultimate weapon. It is invisible, it is silent, yet it radiates. People feel when a man is unprovocable. They sense it when he does not break. They adjust themselves around him, unsure of what he feels, unsure of what he will do. And that uncertainty creates respect. That mystery creates power. Machiavelli wrote that fortune is controlled by the bold, but boldness without discipline is suicide. The man who masters his emotions channels boldness into strategy, not chaos. He strikes when the moment is right, not when his impulses demand it. That is why such men endure. So hear this. The man who can control armies but not himself is no ruler. The man who can command respect but not his own anger is no master. The man who can build wealth but collapses under lust or fear is no king. But the man who controls himself, who holds his rage in one hand and his patience in the other, who uses desire but is not enslaved by it, who feels fear but bends it into calculation, that man is untouchable. This is the fortress you must build, the fortress of iron composure, the fortress of discipline, the fortress where your emotions serve you, not enslave you. Inside it, you are calm, you are clear, you are inevitable. Comment this phrase if you understand. My mind is my fortress. My emotions are my soldiers. Claim it, write it, live it. Because until you build this fortress, every battle you fight outside will be lost inside. But once you master it, you cannot be shaken, not by man, not by fear, not by fate. Asterisk number 9, the final ascension. Power has stages. The weak never move past the first stage. They live, beg, and die in silence. They crave respect, but never command it. They want power, but never seize it. They want to be seen, but spend their lives invisible. They are forgotten because they never understood the truth. Respect is not given. Power is not handed down. Both are taken, engineered, and enforced by men who understand the laws of the mind. You have walked through these laws. Piece by piece, the architecture of dominance has been placed before you. You have seen how love collapses, but fear endures. You have seen how boundaries define your throne, how silence unsettles more than noise, how scarcity elevates value, how cruelty, applied with precision, carves order out of chaos, how emotional control becomes the iron fortress no enemy can penetrate. All of it builds to this moment, the moment of ascension, the moment you choose whether to return to the ordinary or to rise into the rare. Most men will not rise. They will hear these words and nod, then go back to their addictions, their distractions, their weakness. They will keep chasing approval, keep bending to the opinions of others, keep bleeding themselves out for scraps of validation. They will never build boundaries, never enforce consequence, never discipline their desires, never learn to hold their silence. They will remain predictable, and because they are predictable, they will remain controlled. They will die unknown, forgotten, consumed. But you are not like them. You would not still be listening if you were. Something inside you has already broken away from the herd. You know what you have felt, the hunger to become untouchable, to step into a place where respect is not asked for but commanded, where presence itself bends the room, where others move around you carefully, measuring their words, adjusting their tone, because they know, instinctively, that you are not one to be tested. That is what all of this has been preparing you for, ascension into power that cannot be shaken. Understand this clearly. Ascension is not a single act. It is a transformation. It is a state of being. You are not chasing respect. You are respect. You are not begging for power. You embody power. You are not screaming for attention. Attention bends toward you because the world senses your weight. This weight comes from mastery, mastery of yourself, mastery of perception, mastery of consequence. The throne you build is not made of wood or gold. It is made of fear, respect, silence, and presence. The throne is psychological, and once it is built, no man can take it from you. But let me remind you of the pillars that hold it. Fear over love, because love is fleeting and fear is durable. If forced to choose, you must always prefer to be feared, because fear creates hesitation, and hesitation creates control. Boundaries, the walls of your kingdom. Without them, you are exposed. With them, you are unmovable. Every no you enforce is a stone in the fortress of your respect. Every line you hold is a reminder that you are not like other men. Scarcity, the currency of kings. Your presence must be rationed. Your attention must be guarded. Your words must be scarce. People do not value what they drown in. They value what they are starving for. Do not give yourself freely. Make yourself rare, and they will chase. The mask, the art of concealment. You reveal nothing you do not choose to reveal. Your silence becomes pressure. Your mystery becomes power. Your unpredictability becomes fear. And when you finally move, it is decisive, unstoppable, unforgettable. Controlled cruelty, the scalpel of rulers. You do not lash out. You do not rage. You strike once, coldly, surgically, and with such force that no one doubts your capacity to enforce consequence. You do not punish often. You punish well. Emotional control, the fortress within, the greatest weapon of all, the shield that makes you immune to provocation, manipulation, seduction, and fear, the wall behind which you plan, calculate, and endure while others crumble. The man who controls armies but not himself is no king, but the man who masters himself is untouchable, even without an army. These pillars are not random. They are steps. Each one builds upon the other. Together they form the architecture of a man who cannot be broken, cannot be controlled, cannot be ignored, a man who ascends. Now listen carefully. This final stage is not about knowledge, it is about decision. You know the laws, you have heard the strategies, but knowing means nothing without transformation. You cannot try to become this man, you must become him. Every thought disciplined, every word calculated, every act intentional, every weakness burned away. It begins with silence. Speak less, reveal little. Train your presence to say what your words no longer need to. Then enforce your boundaries. Cut away what weakens you. Train the world to respect your limits. Build scarcity. Ration yourself. Withdraw from the noise. Let your absence grow your value. When tested, act decisively, not out of anger, not out of ego, but out of strategy. Punish once and punish so hard that repetition is unnecessary. Reward sparingly and reward with precision, so loyalty is sharpened rather than dulled. And above all, master yourself. No anger uncontrolled, no desire undisciplined, no fear unconverted. Emotions are soldiers. Command them. Never let them command you. When you begin to live this way, you will feel the shift. Others will look at you differently. They will pause before they speak. They will measure themselves around you. They will feel your weight, even in silence. Some will respect you. Others will fear you. The wise will align with you. The foolish will avoid you. But none will ignore you. That is ascension. That is untouchable power. This is not for everyone. Only a few men will carry this weight. Only a few will stand in silence while the world bends. Only a few will choose the cold discipline of respect over the cheap comfort of love, and those few will rule. So now I ask you, not as suggestion, but as command, claim your ascension. Seal it. Write this phrase in the comments right now so it is engraved into you. I ascend. I am untouchable. Let it be known that you are not among the forgotten, that you do not beg, you do not bend, you do not break, that you rise above, into the rare, into the feared, into the respected, into power. If this struck you, if it branded itself into your mind, then you know what comes next. Like this video, subscribe, turn on notifications, join the brotherhood of those who rise. Welcome to Sig Rhythm, where the weak are broken and the strong are made untouchable. Asterisk.